Salem, a quaint town with a dark history, welcomed Sarah on a chilly autumn evening. As she arrived, the falling leaves whispered secrets of the unsettling events that had transpired here over the centuries. She checked into an inn that seemed to have witnessed the town's grim past, its creaking floors and flickering lights setting an eerie tone for her stay. Sarah, a young historian with a fascination for the macabre, was drawn to Salem by the promise of unraveling its enigmatic past. The town's archives, filled with dusty volumes and yellowed manuscripts, beckoned her with the promise of hidden tales waiting to be unearthed. Little did she know that her quest for knowledge would lead her down a path shrouded in darkness, where the past and present would intertwine, and where the very foundations of reality would be called into question. Salem, with its sinister secrets, was about to reveal its most chilling mysteries, and Sarah was on the brink of a journey that would test her courage and sanity in ways she could never have imagined. Sarah delved into Salem's archives, uncovering a forgotten story of witch trials that had plagued the town in the 17th century. The brittle pages of history whispered eerie tales of injustice and horror. Names of accused women stood out: Agatha Blackwood, a woman accused of witchcraft, whose fate had been shrouded in mystery. As Sarah pored over the accounts, she was struck by the heartbreaking testimonies of those condemned. Agatha's story, in particular, captivated her, a woman who had been accused without evidence, a victim of envy and paranoia. It was a tale of a community consumed by fear and prejudice. The more she read, the more the atmosphere in the room seemed to change. Shadows danced across the dimly lit walls, and a cold draft swept through the space. The flickering candlelight cast eerie, elongated shadows, making it feel as if the accused souls were present, sharing their sorrowful narratives. Intrigued and unsettled, Sarah couldn't help but wonder if these lingering spirits were trying to communicate, their voices reaching out across time, imploring her to unearth the truth that had long been buried. She vowed to uncover the secrets of Agatha Blackwood, believing that understanding her story was the key to unraveling the chilling mysteries that had plagued Salem for centuries. In the attic of the inn, Sarah stumbled upon a concealed chamber. Within its walls hung a portrait of Agatha Blackwood, its haunting gaze seemingly following her every move. The longer she stared at the painting, the colder the room seemed to grow. A whisper of wind filled the attic, carrying with it a spectral murmur that sent shivers down her spine, as if Agatha's tormented soul yearned to communicate. The portrait itself was a macabre masterpiece, Agatha depicted in somber hues, her eyes deeply captivating yet filled with sorrow. Sarah's fingertips brushed against the canvas, and she felt a peculiar tingling, an unsettling connection. As the flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, the outline of the portrait seemed to shift, contorting Agatha's expression into one of agony. Startled, Sarah stepped back, her heart racing. It was as though the spirit of Agatha Blackwood had momentarily possessed the painting. Unnerved but determined, she made a mental note to investigate further, for this portrait held a secret, a tale of torment and injustice, waiting to be unraveled in the dim recesses of the Salem Inn. Intrigued by the haunting portrait, Sarah embarked on a midnight visit to the old Salem cemetery, the resting place of Agatha Blackwood. The moon cast an eerie glow on the ancient tombstones as she cautiously approached the grave, heart pounding in the stillness. Carved into the worn stone was an inscription that sent a shiver down her spine: "Here lies Agatha, condemned yet innocent." As she lingered by the grave, an unsettling sensation enveloped her, as if unseen eyes watched her every move. A chilling wind whispered through the trees, and Sarah felt an inexplicable presence. Panic began to creep in, and she turned to leave. That's when she heard them, soft footsteps approaching from behind. Fear seized her, and she fled, the footsteps growing faint but echoing hauntingly in her mind. Back in the safety of her room, Sarah grappled with what she had experienced. The inscription, the inexplicable sensation, and those footsteps, all seemed to be pieces of a puzzle she was reluctant to solve. The accursed grounds of Salem Cemetery held a secret, and she was determined to unveil it, even if it meant facing the supernatural forces that dwelled within. Little did she know, Her pursuit of truth would soon propel her into a realm of terror she could never have imagined. Back in her room, Sarah couldn't shake the disturbing visions that had consumed her during the séance. Flashes of the witch trials and Agatha's desperate pleas of innocence replayed in her mind, each frame more chilling than the last. She had always been a skeptic, but the room's plummet into darkness and the icy grip on her shoulder had shaken her to her core. As Sarah sat on the edge of her bed, her heart raced and her palms were clammy. She knew she had to confront the truth, no matter how unsettling it might be. The séance had left her with more questions than answers, but one thing was clear: Agatha's spirit was restless, and it yearned for something. Drawing a deep breath, Sarah reached for her research notes, her hands trembling as she reviewed the historical accounts of the Salem witch trials. She needed to find any mention of Agatha Blackwood, to uncover the injustice that had befallen her. Hours turned into a sleepless night as she combed through old manuscripts, searching for the missing pieces of the puzzle. In the dim light of her room, Sarah finally found a lead, an obscure reference to Agatha's trial buried in a dusty volume. The text hinted at a shocking revelation: Agatha had been falsely accused, a victim of jealousy and power struggles within the town. The diary of a remorseful accuser might hold the key to proving Agatha's innocence and, perhaps, lifting the curse that plagued Salem for centuries. With newfound determination, Sarah knew she had to locate that diary and bring Agatha's tragic tale to light. Back in her room, Sarah began experiencing disturbing visions, flashes of the witch trials and Agatha's desperate pleas of innocence. The walls seemed to close in on her as a cold wind swept through the room, carrying with it faint echoes of the past. Her heart pounded, and a sense of dread washed over her. In a moment of eerie clarity, Sarah knew what she had to do. She decided to conduct a séance, hoping to communicate with Agatha's tormented spirit and unravel the truth that had been hidden for centuries. The clock struck midnight as she lit candles and prepared for the séance, the shadows dancing ominously around the room. As the séance commenced, Sarah felt an unnatural chill in the air. Suddenly, the room plunged into darkness, and she heard a faint whisper, Agatha's voice, pleading for justice. Trembling, she asked, "Agatha, reveal to us what happened to you. Let the truth be known." The room quivered, and an icy hand gripped her shoulder. A presence filled the space, and images of Agatha's life and unjust accusations flashed before her eyes. Agatha's anguish and pain were palpable, as if her spirit yearned for vindication. The séance had connected them to a world beyond, where the sins of the past were demanding acknowledgement and the chance for rest. Determined to lift the curse that had plagued Salem for centuries, Sarah embarked on a perilous quest. She faced malevolent spirits and encountered unexplained phenomena in her relentless pursuit of evidence to clear Agatha Blackwood's name. One moonless night, as she combed through dusty archives, the flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows on the ancient tomes, Sarah uncovered Agatha's long-forgotten diary. Its brittle pages held the key to unraveling the truth. In faded ink, Agatha had chronicled her torment, her desperate pleas of innocence, and the sinister machinations of those who had condemned her. With trembling hands, Sarah read aloud from the diary, each word resonating in the dimly lit room. As the final words left her lips, a bone-chilling wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles. The temperature plummeted, and Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. Suddenly, a spectral figure materialized before her. It was Agatha's tormented spirit, her face etched with centuries of suffering. The room quaked, and Sarah could feel the weight of Agatha's anguish in the air. But instead of malevolence, Agatha's spirit radiated a profound sadness. She longed for her innocence to be acknowledged, and her curse to be lifted. Sarah, undeterred by the supernatural spectacle unfolding before her, vowed to make Agatha's truth known to Salem's residents, no matter the cost. Sarah gathered the townspeople, clutching Agatha's diary, the key to lifting the curse that had tormented Salem for centuries. Trembling, she recounted Agatha's tragic tale and presented the evidence of her innocence, the diary's pages stained with tears and desperation. As she spoke the words, a palpable tension filled the air. The ground trembled, and a spectral mist enveloped the gathering. Agatha's tormented spirit materialized, her ethereal form contorted in anguish. Desperation and sadness etched across her face, she implored the crowd for justice. The weight of the curse pressed down on them, a chilling reminder of their ancestors' grave mistakes. But as the truth rang out into the night, a sense of release swept over the crowd. The curse began to break, its malevolent grip loosening. Agatha's spirit seemed to shimmer and fade, a look of peace and gratitude finally replacing her tortured expression. The once haunting presence now felt serene and free. The air lightened, and the mist dissipated, leaving behind a sense of calm. The townspeople, now unburdened by the curse, exchanged grateful glances and tearful smiles. The darkness that had shrouded Salem for so long had been dispelled, and the town could finally move forward, honoring Agatha's memory and learning from the past. With the curse shattered, Salem began the slow process of healing and rebuilding. The weight of centuries-old guilt and anguish lifted, allowing the townspeople to breathe easier, though the memory of the horrifying events remained etched in their collective consciousness. Agatha Blackwood's spirit, once tormented and vengeful, found solace in the acknowledgement of her innocence. Yet, Salem was forever changed. The whispers of Agatha's tragic tale continued to linger in the autumn winds, a haunting reminder of the town's dark past. Though free from the curse's malevolent grip, a lingering unease permeated the air, leaving an indelible mark on Salem's psyche. Sarah, the determined historian who had unveiled the truth, moved on with her life, forever touched by the horrors she had encountered. She left Salem, carrying the weight of the secrets she had exposed and the souls she had helped find peace. The inn, once a focal point of the haunting, stood as a somber testament to the truth that had been laid bare. In the years that followed, Salem would never fully escape the shadows of its past. The sins of history remained a part of the town's identity, a cautionary tale passed down through generations. Agatha's story would forever serve as a reminder that even in the face of darkness, the truth has the power to bring peace to restless souls.